After years of watching many of America's urban centers descend into drug-infested homeless camps, I haven't spent that much time wondering, how are they actually getting the drugs? Because these people are hardly functional enough to breathe. Many of them don't. Hence the slogan and the overdose problem. But if they can't work, then how do they feed the habit? Is there some kind of drug fairy godmother or Santa Claus who delivers lumps of crack instead of coal? And actually, kinda. We do know that different governments and government-sponsored nonprofits have served that role in many places, if not providing the drugs themselves, at least providing the equipment necessary for use. But even if the syringes are comped, you still need the drugs to shoot, so where are those coming from? Someone's selling, someone's buying, so someone's paying. Who's paying? Well, in many of these cities, just like those syringes, you are, at least indirectly through EBT or food stamp fraud. That's right, for all the debate over whether things like soda should qualify under food assistance programs, validly so, that's actually a much lesser degree of the problem, because food stamps are being used in very large volume on the other kind of coke, actually, and fentanyl, and any of the other drug choices that are fueling the body count on the streets. Oh, come on, what do you mean? Food benefits come through EBT, or electronic benefits transfer, a government-issued debit card, and it can only be used at authorized retailers on qualified goods, as in food. It's not like you can just swipe your EBT card with your local drug dealer. No, of course not. But you can convert the asset, and there's plenty of incentive and ease in doing so. The scam works like this. An EBT card holder or food stamp beneficiary sells his card for cash at a fraction of the value. Well, hey, Mr. Junkie, I'll buy your $200 food stamp card for $100. Well, sure, says Mr. Junkie, because after all, I much prefer drugs to food. The scammer then gets the food value. He goes to the store, he buys $200 worth of food, and then he sells that food back to the store or another business like a restaurant for cheap, and he pockets the money. So the junkie gets drugs, the scammer gets cash, and the participating businesses either get to sell that food twice effectively, or they get supplies at an artificial, greatly discounted price, all of it billed to you by politicians who say you're insufficiently charitable if you have any questions about it. That is exactly the scam that just got busted in Seattle. The dollar value of this fraud has yet to be disclosed, but Seattle police have been watching scammers do this at homeless encampments in the Chinatown neighborhood since July. Last week, they arrested 11 suspects, and there are more people involved who may soon be arrested too, some known, some unknown. Here's local news and the detective on the case describing just how easy it is to get rich and high by stealing your tax dollars.
Police are now going after the money that's being used to traffic drugs here.
His officers observed individuals buying EBT cards.
Seattle police say they've uncovered a crime ring with a simple scheme. People on the street hand over their EBT cards in exchange for drugs or cash at a fraction of the card's value. The buyer then uses that victim's EBT card to buy food or household items and then resells it to other businesses across the region.
Business gives them the cash, and then they take the cash, and then the business keeps the food.
Alerted to the scam, Seattle officials and Washington state lawmakers are furious. This is an outrage. Such waste and inefficiency. Let's fix this immediately and just give the junkies the drugs directly, or at least that's what a top-rated comment predicts will be the Seattle and Washington state policy in response. So wait a week or two to see it realized. But even if those in power don't actually want food assistance used to buy drugs and enrich scammers, they definitely don't care that it's happening, or at least not enough to do anything about it. Because for as awful as this scamming is, the stealing of your money, the fueling of a public health disaster, the taking from the productive to perpetuate the destructive, it's not at all new. For as long as this public benefit has existed, people have scammed it. And this exact same story airs almost annually on local Seattle news.
A microeconomy sprung up around access to these EBT cards. Police say the food was bought legally, but then the cardholder was compensated a fraction of what the groceries were worth in cash, and then that cash was used to buy drugs like fentanyl in exchange.
Seattle police busted a crime ring where people traded their food stamps for cash and crack. he would pay the EBT card customers 50 cents or less on the dollar. They just wanted the cash, they say. And then they say Mushtak, in turn, stocked all of his grocery store shelves with hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of groceries, cigarettes, and more, all bought fraudulently, they say, with food stamp dollars meant to feed hungry families.
And it's not a Seattle-specific problem, of course. You could probably make that same montage for most major cities. This is a national problem, and despite this national fraud, food assistance programs have generally expanded, not restricted, in both dollar numbers and in purchasing options. In the COVID era, for example, well, we couldn't risk virus exposure, and so eligible food stamp purchases moved online in many states, where I'm sure plenty of Nigerian princes probably got their cut to help you supposedly secure your long-lost family fortune. They just need that EBT card info to unlock it. But despite the expanding scams that correspond with the expanding budgets, ideas to protect the integrity of these programs are often politically framed as cruel and inhumane. Oh, you monster! You want hungry children to starve? Well, no, I just prefer not to buy drugs for people to overdose on. That seems very humane to me, actually. That and maybe the people on the benefits who can work should be actively trying to. Such ideas are often characterized as cuts, as we saw in the budget bill debate earlier this year. But it's not cuts if there are baseline requirements for the benefit. It's just accountability. And charity without accountability necessarily becomes abuse. And we all know that's true if we apply it to our own lives, no matter how much we rationalize otherwise or try to deny it. If your friend loses his job or gets evicted from his apartment, for example, you might help him out by letting him sleep on your couch, because that's what a good friend does. But if that friend then sleeps on your couch for months and makes no effort to get a job and get back on his own, you are going to be irritated. Because you're being abused. Your helpfulness has transformed into dependency, and that is not what you signed up for. But somehow it's supposedly different when the government owns the couch instead. Well, yeah, it is different in that it's worse, because now that expectation of accountability is removed. Well, sure, I care if my couch is abused, but who cares if that other guy's is, or all of the other guys through the government? Not my problem. But it is all of our problem when we're taking from good, productive people to uphold destructive behavior with no expectation for improvement. That is subsidizing abuse. The abuse will expand, and it will come for all of us. I learned this basic lesson that charity requires accountability a long time ago, fresh out of college, when I still had that same idealistic, bleeding heart left-wing perspective myself. Now, longtime listeners may have heard me tell this story before, but I think it was one of those first eye-opening real-world truths for me. It was 2010. I had graduated in the spring and got a job in the fall working in Oakland, California, and I just got my first full-time paycheck, and it felt awesome. All of that effort, all of that studying to achieve this moment, self-sufficiency and earning my own way. So that Friday night, I went out to get some celebratory dinner, and right outside my office building, there was a Quiznos sandwich shop. Now, I'm not even sure if Quiznos exists anymore or why I thought Subway tier food was appropriate for a celebration, but at least I was responsible with my money, I guess. And whether that particular Quiznos shop still exists is a question independent of the sandwich quality, actually, because that shop was right next to a Walmart that is now closed due to rampant theft. And it was right next to Oakland's former In-N-Out Burger, the only one in the city, also now closed because it literally took too many strays. And yes, I chose Quiznos over In-N-Out, but the point of this story is that you're an idiot when you're young, and after all, I didn't get shot. Anyway, I learned an important lesson in the nature of charity, because here I come to that Quiznos storefront, proudly marching with my pocket full of money to burn, and there's a very rough-looking bum sitting right beside the door. And he says to me desperately, "Hey man, I really need some help. Could you please get me some dinner?" And young, freshly paid me thinks, of course, I'm taken care of, so I should help this poor man out. So I say, sure, I'm going in to get whatever the finest sandwich is at this place. What would you like? And he looks at me confused and he starts making up a story. Oh, well, I don't really want Quiznos, actually. Even a bum like me refuses that crap. I was hoping for something else over at Walmart over there. Do you have any cash? So I'm thinking, come on, man. Beggars can't be choosers, yet here you are begging and choosing. Why do you want cash? Do you actually want food, or are you just scamming me to get something else? So 23-year-old me stands his ground and says, no, I am not giving you cash. But if you are hungry, I will buy you a sandwich. So what would you like? And so defeated, this bum sighs and agrees. Okay, I'll take a 6-inch tuna on wheat. A decision even more questionable than my selection of Quiznos in the first place. But I say, sure, you wait here and I'll be right back with it. And as I'm walking through the door to enter the Quiznos, this drug-craving hobo stops me. Oh, no. Wait. And I'm wondering, did he change his mind about the tuna? But instead, he says to me with a smirk and an inappropriately commanding tone, don't forget the Pepsi. And I'm just enraged in my mind. Instead of saying thank you, this guy's now barking orders at me for soda. So fine, you son of a bitch. I went in, I got the tuna sandwich, I got the damn Pepsi, and I handed him the meal he didn't actually want but feigned desperation for. And I went home thinking about the lesson that I just learned, as in the one that applies here, 15 years later, in dealing with the same problems in the same West Coast cities. Charity without accountability becomes abuse. Always. If I had expected no accountability from that bum, and I gave him the cash that he asked for, he was going straight to buy booze or drugs to feed his addiction. Instead, I said, no, food only. And he tried to make me the bad guy for having some restrictions about the nature of this transaction. And then when he realized he would only get the necessary benefit from me, the conversation changed to, well, okay, what's the most that I can get out of this then? It was never gratitude. It was never appreciation for all the hard work that I had done to earn the money to help him out. Instead, it was just, hey, here's a sucker. How much can I sucker him? Now, am I saying that everybody on food assistance is an unappreciative abuser? Of course I am not. I am saying that any actual charity has expectations and standards to ensure that is not the case. But I guess that is the difference. This is not actual charity. It's not voluntary. This is government taking from you by force. And after all, isn't that what government really exists to do now? Once upon a time, we had a declaration saying that government exists to secure your rights, but now its purpose has deformed into the opposite. Government exists primarily, if not exclusively, to force you to pay for things that you never would voluntarily. Because the only difference between the government and that bum is the government is much worse, actually. The government says, don't forget the Pepsi, and then points a gun at my face to remind me, and then Uncle Sam doesn't even buy a Pepsi anyway. He buys meth instead. And frankly, given it was Oakland, I'm surprised that bum didn't do the same to me. Samuel L. style. Don't forget the Pepsi. You will bring me that Pepsi, motherfucker. But I guess I'm just one of the lucky few to reminisce and remember days long gone now, doing honest business in that town voluntarily and Glock-free. I know it sounds crazy, but I swear to you, it happened. It was just a long time ago, and I'm kind of old now. Because after a decade plus pursuing the opposite, enabling the abuse and empowering the government to uphold it, it's not even that it's just corrupt business left. It's no business. Forget shopping. There's not even anybody left to scam. It's just a ghost town. And such is the problem with this philosophy. When you think you can just infinitely take from some people to give to others, eventually you run out of money to take. And you do forget the Pepsi, tragically, because nobody even makes it anymore. Thanks as always for listening and for supporting this channel. Always appreciate that thoughtful discussion down below, and especially over on X, that is at ML Christiansen. You're always welcome to coming out and chatting my live streams as live on Wednesday and Sunday nights. Looking forward to it. Goodbye.